The sky above Earth had never looked so calm. No storms, no aircraft trails, just an endless, quiet blue. But behind that calm, something dark moved in the silence of space. At first, it looked like a shadow crossing the stars. Then, the shadow grew. Millions of people around the world stared at their screens as the news spread. An unidentified fleet was approaching from the outer system. No one said it out loud, but everyone thought the same thing. They were not human. In orbit, the Terran Defense Fleet held position like steel statues. Ships of every nation, the United States, Europe, Asia, the colonies on Luna and Mars, all under one flag now. Humanity had not been united in centuries, but the silence of the sky made them one again. On the command bridge of the flagship TSS Valiant, Commander Rhea Morgan stood before the viewport. Her eyes followed the distant shapes, cold, alien, and slow-moving. The scanners had already counted them, 63 ships, each the size of a small city. "Are they broadcasting anything?" she asked quietly. Her communications officer shook his head. "Nothing yet, Commander. Just silence." Rhea turned back to the stars. "Then they're watching us," she said. Measuring, down on Earth, the world held its breath. Cities dimmed their lights, not from fear, but from instinct. People stood on rooftops, gazing upward. The sky looked peaceful, but every sensor, every telescope, told a different story. The aliens had stopped just beyond lunar orbit, close enough to be seen, far enough to wait. No one knew what they wanted. No one dared to guess. In Geneva, deep beneath the surface, the United Earth Council gathered in emergency session. The faces on the screen were tired, worried, but calm. Admiral Jonathan Hayes, an old veteran with gray eyes, spoke first. "They are not here by mistake," he said. "A fleet of that size doesn't travel across systems for a visit. They want something." President Lee of the Asian Coalition asked, "Could it be trade? Contact?" Hayes shook his head slowly. "They didn't answer our hails. Not one. That's not diplomacy. That's intimidation." The room fell silent again. Everyone knew what that meant. First contact had finally come. It didn't look peaceful. Back on the Valiant, Rhea received the Council's order. Do not engage. Hold position. Wait for communication. She stared at the message for a long time before answering. "I counsel command." But waiting was the hardest thing to do. Her crew could feel the tension, thick like static in the air. The ship's engines were ready, weapons charged. But they could do nothing. For 6 long hours, the alien fleet stayed motionless. Then, the silence broke. A signal came through, a low, distorted hum that made the ship's hull vibrate. The sound turned into a voice. It was deep, layered, and emotionless. "People of Earth, you occupy a world not your own. Surrender your claim. You have 1 rotation to comply." And the transmission ended. No one spoke for several seconds. The only sound was the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Finally, Rhea said, "Play it again." Voice repeated, every word cold and clear. "You occupy a world not your own. You have 1 rotation to comply." Lieutenant Diaz, her tactical officer, whispered, "They just gave us an ultimatum." Rhea nodded. "Yes, a warning before conquest." She looked at the holographic map, the alien ships now glowing red in orbit. "They think Earth is theirs, that we are trespassers." News spread like wildfire. People flooded the streets in fear and disbelief. Religious groups prayed. Scientists argued. Every news channel showed the same words, "Surrender your claim," but Earth did not surrender. In hidden bases beneath deserts and oceans, old war machines powered up for the first time in a century. Satellites began to move into new formations. Every nation contributed to one command humanity's defense. Inside the council chamber, the debate turned fierce. Some members wanted to send peace envoys. Others said peace was already broken. Admiral Hayes stood again. "We stayed silent for too long," he said. "We believed silence meant safety, but they see silence as weakness. If we do not answer now, there will be no Earth left to defend." The council president looked at him. "And what do you propose, Admiral?" He replied simply, "We send them a message. Clear and final." That night, as the alien ships began to shift position near the moon, the Terran fleet prepared their transmission. Commander Rhea stood before the main console. Her crew waited for her command. "Open channel," she said. A red light blinked. The signal was live. Every alien sensor would hear it. Rhea took a slow breath, her voice steady, strong, and calm. "To the unknown fleet in Earth's orbit. This is Commander Rhea Morgan of the Terran Defense Armada. You have entered sovereign space. You will leave immediately. This is your first and last warning." She paused, then added one final line. "We will not repeat ourselves." The message was short, sharp, human. The channel closed. Across the fleet, tension filled every corridor. The message had been sent, but there was no reply. The alien ships stayed still, silent once more. Rhea looked out at the stars. The dark outlines of the invaders hung motionless against the light of the moon. Lieutenant Diaz broke the silence. "Do you think they'll listen, Commander?" Rhea didn't answer right away. Her gaze was distant, thoughtful, but cold. Finally, she said, "I think they'll test us first." Hours passed. The alien ships remained motionless, but small energy readings began to flicker from their hulls, scanning beams. Power buildup, signals exchanged between them. Rhea turned to her crew. "Record everything. The moment they cross the Mars line, we act." She didn't know it yet, but this was the calm before the storm, the last quiet moment humanity would ever know, down on Earth. People looked up at the sky one last time before sleep. The stars still shone, the moon still glowed. To them it looked like peace, but above that peaceful sky, humanity's first interstellar war was already waiting to begin, and the universe was about to learn what happens when you ignore Earth's final warning. The world did not sleep that night. Every screen, every radio, every live broadcast repeated the same message. You have one rotation to comply. The words from the alien fleet had shaken humanity to its core. Some people hid. Some prayed. Some raised their fists to the sky, shouting that they would never bow. But far below the surface of Geneva, deep inside the secure chambers of the United Earth Council, the leaders of the planet were not shouting. They were silent, each one staring at the massive display showing the alien fleet hovering near. The moon, Admiral Jonathan Hayes stood with his hands behind his back. His voice was calm, but the lines on his face were sharp and old. "We have less than 20 hours, he said. "The alien ships haven't moved since Commander Morgan sent her message." President Li Wei, representing the Asian coalition, looked at the glowing data feed. "Do they plan to attack?" "No movement yet," Hayes replied. "But they're scanning every inch of our defense grid. They know exactly where our ships and satellites are." "That's not preparation," said Ambassador Niari from Africa. "That's hunting." A low murmur filled the room. Every leader knew what that meant. The invaders were studying their prey before the strike. The council chamber was built like a fortress. Heavy steel walls, flickering blue light from dozens of holoscreens, and guards posted at every door. Yet even here, far underground, everyone could feel the weight of fear pressing down. A scientist from the Luna base appeared on the main screen. "We analyzed the transmission," she said. "The voice pattern isn't natural. It's artificial, maybe machine-based, possibly a translation system." Hayes frowned. "So they could be anything." "Anything," the scientist confirmed. "But whatever they are, they believe they own this region of space. Their records might show Earth as part of their territory."
Ow.
The word territory made everyone shift uncomfortably. The idea that humanity's home could belong to someone else was almost unbearable. The council president, Dr. Evelyn Ross, finally stood. Her silver hair caught the cold light of the chamber. "We have two choices," she said. "Negotiate or prepare for war." "War," muttered one of the European delegates. "Against that?" He pointed at the screen showing 63 alien ships, each glowing like a city in orbit. Admiral Hayes replied, "We don't choose war. They brought it to us." He walked to the center of the chamber. The cameras followed him. His voice echoed through every council hall on the planet. For a century, we stayed silent, he said. We built colonies, explored moons, but avoided conflict. We believed silence would protect us. But silence made us invisible, easy to forget, easy to claim. He turned toward the president. If we don't respond, they will take Earth, and they won't stop here. Mars, Luna, the colonies. All will fall. The council room filled with murmurs again. Fear mixed with anger. President Ross raised a hand. If we respond with force, we could start an interstellar war. Hayes met her eyes. It's already started, Madam President. The moment they sent that ultimatum, she didn't argue. Everyone knew he was right. Still, the idea of war against a fleet from another star was terrifying. Humanity had advanced. Yes, faster than light communication, orbital weapons, and fusion ships, but this enemy had crossed entire systems effortlessly. How do you fight something that can erase a planet? On the TSS Valiant, Commander Rhea Morgan watched the feed from the council chamber. Her orders were clear. Hold position. Do not provoke. She hated waiting. Every instinct told her that waiting was exactly what the aliens wanted. Lieutenant Diaz stood beside her. Ma'am, should we prepare the rail batteries just in case? Rhea nodded, quietly. I don't want them to think we're panicking. Understood. The stars outside were calm to calm. She felt it in her chest, that strange heaviness before something terrible happens. Back in Geneva, the debate continued. Ambassador Niari stood. If there is even a chance for peace, we must try. Perhaps they don't understand us. Admiral Hayes turned to her. They understand enough to threaten us. But we don't know their reason, Niari argued. We cannot assume war is the only path. Hayes took a deep breath. Ambassador, when someone points a gun at your home and gives you 1 day to surrender, you don't ask for their reason. You tell them to leave. The room went silent. Even those who wanted diplomacy had no words to answer. Suddenly, the room lights dimmed. A red alert flashed on the main screen. Rhea's voice came through the secure channel. Council Command, this is Commander Morgan. We've detected a movement. One of the alien ships just powered up its main engine. It's breaking formation. The chamber erupted in whispers. President Ross leaned forward. Commander, what's its heading? Toward Mars orbit, Rhea replied. If it continues on that course, it'll cross the Mars line in 4 hours. Hayes clenched his fist. That's a test. They're probing our response. Can we stop it? The president asked. Not without firing the first shot. Everyone stared at each other. The decision they'd been avoiding had arrived. President Ross looked around the room. This is it, she said. We must decide now. Do we send another message? Or do we prepare to defend? For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of machines filled the silence. Finally, Admiral Hayes stepped forward. His voice was heavy but firm. We will send one more message. Our final one. After that, if they stay, we fight. The president nodded slowly. Agreed. She turned to the communication officers. Prepare the transmission. Moments later, a single coded message was sent from Earth. To the alien fleet, it was short, powerful. The same message that would echo through history as humanity's final warning. To the fleet above Earth, you have violated our space. You will depart immediately. This is your only warning. Leave. Or face consequences beyond your understanding. No reply came. The alien ships remained in their cold silence, lights flickering faintly like distant stars. On the Valiant, Rhea watched the alien ship move past the Mars line. The crew held their breath. Then the sensors screamed, a flash of energy from the alien vessel. Impact detected, shouted Diaz. They destroyed one of our satellites. Rhea's hands tightened on the railing. She turned slowly toward her crew. Send the message to all fleets. What message, Commander? Her eyes hardened. The warning has expired. The quiet of the council chamber shattered as alarms began to ring. Everyone knew what that meant. Humanity had spoken. The invaders had ignored it. Now, the choice was made. The sky would no longer be silent. The message had been sent. The silence had ended. Now, the stars were waiting for the first shot. The Terran defense armada floated above Mars like a steel wall. Dozens of human warships, carriers, destroyers, drone swarms formed a line that stretched across the orbit. Each ship carried the same order: hold fire until confirmed. Aggression. But everyone knew that confirmation was coming. On the bridge of the flagship TSS Valiant, Commander Rhea Morgan stood at the center deck. Her eyes were fixed on the main screen, showing the alien fleet just beyond the Mars line. The ships looked like black mountains drifting through space, their edges glowing with strange blue light. "Status report," she said quietly. Lieutenant Diaz scanned the readings. All systems ready. Defense grid stable. Fleet standing by, and the alien formation. "They're moving closer, ma'am. 2 ships have broken off, approaching our perimeter." Rhea nodded once. "Stay calm. No weapons until they fire." Her tone was steady, but her heart was pounding. She knew this was it, the moment history would remember. Far below, the red planet watched in silence. Its thin atmosphere glowed faintly under the reflection of warships passing above. Humanity had built colonies here. Small domes of glass and steel, and every colonist looked up, knowing their lives depended on the fleet overhead. Children in the Mars city of New Horizon pointed at the sky, watching the glowing trails of human ships preparing for battle. Back on Earth, the United Earth Council monitored the situation. The chamber was tense. Admiral Hayes' voice came through the holoscreen. "Commander Morgan, remember, we respond. We do not start." "Yes, sir," she replied. "But they've already started by crossing Mars orbit." Hayes didn't answer. He knew she was right at 4:13 GMT. The first alien ship fired. It began as a pulse, a thin beam of white light that cut through space like a knife. It struck one of the human defense satellites orbiting Mars. The explosion lit the sky, scattering debris across the horizon. "Direct hit," shouted Diaz. "They've destroyed relay satellite Echo 4. The entire bridge froze for one breath. Then Rhea spoke, voice sharp as glass. "They fired first. All ships return fire. Target nearest vessel. Send the code Operation Dawn Shield." The order spread like wildfire through the fleet. Within seconds, hundreds of railguns, plasma cannons, and guided drones roared to life. The silence of space turned into war. Human warships moved in perfect coordination. Small interceptor craft swarmed forward, diving through alien formations, releasing EMP bursts and guided charges. Massive carriers launched waves of autonomous drones, each the size of a fighter jet. The aliens responded instantly. Blue energy shields flared around their hulls, absorbing the first wave of human fire. Then they struck back, beams of light so intense they tore through human ships like paper. "Valiant to all ships," Rhea commanded. "Keep distance. Focus fire on their lead ship. Overload their shields." Her voice was calm, but her crew could see the reflection of explosions in her eyes. The battle above Mars burned bright. Human ships darted like fireflies. Alien vessels moved like silent predators. On the TSS horizon, a smaller human cruiser. Captain Lin shouted, "Shields failing! We need cover." Rhea's voice came through the comms. "Hold your ground, Horizon. Reinforcements inbound." Squadron of drones broke formation, flying directly into the alien ship's line of fire, sacrificing themselves to block the beam. The explosion shook space, and for a moment, the alien shield flickered. Rhea shouted, "All ships concentrate fire." Every cannon on the human side opened fire at once. Plasma bolts, rail slugs, and missile volleys struck the same point on the alien hull. The blue shield shattered like glass, and the first alien ship erupted in a silent burst of light. Cheers broke out across the fleet, but the victory was brief, Commander. Diaz yelled, "Multiple energy spikes. They're charging weapons. All of them." Rhea's heart sank. Brace for counterattack. A heartbeat later, space itself seemed to ignite. The alien fleet unleashed a wave of energy that slammed into the human formation. 3 ships were lost instantly. Another, the Ares Dawn, was torn in half, spinning into the void. The fleets comes filled with static and screams. "Valiant, this is Hawking. We've lost navigation, engines offline, shields collapsing, we can't hold." Rhea gritted her teeth. "All ships fall back behind Mars orbit. Regroup." "Ma'am, if we retreat, we lose ground. Do it." She snapped. "We're not losing everyone here." The human ships began to pull back, forming defensive lines near Mars' magnetic field. The alien fleet followed, slow but relentless. Admiral Hayes watched the feed from Earth. "We're losing ships too fast," he muttered. President Ross turned to him. "We need a new strategy," Hayes nodded. "We need time for Commander Morgan to use the weapon prototypes." Ross frowned. "You mean the Solar Spear project?" "It's not ready." Hayes stared at the burning sky on the screen. "It's ready enough." On the Valiant, Rhea's ship shook violently. "Hull integrity at 72%, shouted Diaz. "Keep firing." Rhea looked at the tactical screen. One alien ship, the same that had fired the first shot, was heavily damaged. Its blue lights flickered weakly. Rhea clenched her jaw. "That's the one. Target its core." They fired a concentrated rail slug directly into the alien ship's reactor. The impact was silent. Then the enemy vessel cracked apart, breaking into a storm of metal and blue fire. The humans cheered again, but Rhea didn't. "She knew the aliens had more, Commander," Diaz said quietly. "We've received an encrypted order from Earth Command." She turned to him. "What order?" He looked uneasy. "Authorization for Solar Spear activation." Rhea's eyes widened. The Solar Spear, a secret orbital weapon hidden near the sun, capable of channeling solar plasma through wormhole relays. It had never been tested in real combat. She whispered, "They're really going to use it." Diaz hesitated. "Do we have the coordinates?" "Yes," Rhea said, "but not yet. We'll wait until they commit their full fleet. Then we strike." Outside, the alien fleet began to reorganize. The surviving ships formed a crescent shape, formation that surrounded the human line from 3 directions. "They're trying to trap us," Diaz warned. Rhea smiled faintly. "Let them try." She opened the comms. "To all Terran ships, hold your ground. No retreat, no surrender. We've sent our warning. Now we show them what humanity means." Her words spread across the fleet, steadying every trembling hand, every frightened heart. The crew straightened. The gunners locked targets. Pilots tightened their grip on their controls. The battle wasn't over. It had only just begun. Far from Mars in the cold vacuum of space, a bright flash appeared near the sun, the awakening of the Solar Spear. Its sensors locked onto the alien flagship. Energy began to build. Humanity was about to speak again, not with words, but with fire. The void between Mars and the Moon burned like a battlefield from a forgotten age. Human and alien ships danced across the stars, trails of plasma. Bursts of light, shattered debris floating like metal dust. The silence of space was gone. Now it screamed with war. On the bridge of the TSS Valiant, Commander Rhea Morgan stood tall despite the shaking deck beneath her feet. Every explosion outside painted her face in flashes of red and blue. "Report," she shouted. Lieutenant Diaz was shouting over the alarms. "We've lost 6 ships, ma'am. The Hawking, Crusader, and Nightingale are gone. But we've taken down 2 enemy cruisers." Rhea gripped the console. "Keep the fleet tight. Don't let them separate us." The Valiant's hull trembled as another plasma beam grazed its side. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Smoke filled the air. Yet her voice stayed calm, steady as iron. "Redirect power to forward shields," she ordered. "We hold the line until the spear is ready." In orbit around Earth, Admiral Hayes watched the battle unfold on massive screens. Red and blue icons danced across the tactical display. Each red light lost was a human ship. Each blue spark fading was an alien one. President Ross stood beside him, pale and silent. "Can they win, Admiral?" she asked softly. Hayes didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed locked on the display. "Winning doesn't matter anymore," he said finally. "They came to see if we'd bow. We're showing them we won't." He turned to the communications officer. "Status of the solar spear?" "Charging complete, sir. Target locked, awaiting confirmation." Hayes nodded slowly. "Then it's time." Back at Mars orbit, Rhea received the encrypted signal. The words flashed across her console. "Solar spear ready. Authorize firing sequence." She stared at it for a long moment. The weapon was humanity's last card, a sunborn cannon capable of releasing pure stellar plasma across space. It could end the battle, or destroy everything near it. Diaz looked at her. "Orders, ma'am?" Rhea's voice was quiet. "Not yet. We need them closer. Let them believe we're breaking." She opened. "Comes to all ships. This is Commander Morgan. Fall back behind Mars' shadow. Draw them in. Let them chase us." Her strategy was simple and deadly. The alien fleet followed without hesitation. Their ships, enormous and bright with cold light, advanced like a tidal wave. Every human retreat was seen as weakness. Every maneuver fed their pride. "They're pursuing, Commander," Diaz said. "Just like you predicted." Rhea allowed herself a thin smile. "Good. Let's give them something to chase." The Valiant turned sharply, diving toward Mars' dark side. Its engines flared orange. One by one, the Terran ships followed, vanishing into the planet's shadow. To the aliens, it looked like retreat. But to Rhea, it was positioning inside the planet's shadow. Communication signals flickered and died. The alien fleet entered the blind zone, unaware of the trap. Rhea stood tall, her voice firm. "Fleet, this is the commander. You've fought with courage. You've held the line. Now, we strike together. Target coordinates uploaded. Prepare for solar spear impact in 30 seconds." Diaz's hands trembled as he counted down the seconds. Weapon link confirmed. Spear at full charge. Transmit firing code. Code transmitted. Across the solar system, hidden near the blazing surface of the sun, a massive structure came alive. The solar spear, humanity's most secret weapon, turned its golden panels toward the star. Energy built up along its core, blinding, brilliant, unstoppable. A wormhole relay opened near Mars, and through it came a beam of sunlight, not gentle, not warm, but pure, burning fury. The light tore across space like a spear of fire, straight into the center of the alien formation. In one blinding moment, the night exploded. The beam hit the alien flagship first. Its shields held for a second, then shattered like glass. Every ship around it burned white-hot as the plasma wave expanded. The stars disappeared behind the storm of light. Rhea shielded her eyes. Though no sound reached them, only the silent glow of destruction. When the light faded, half the alien fleet was gone. Only drifting wrecks remained, molten, broken, lifeless. The rest of the alien ships began to pull back, their formations collapsing. They were retreating. Cheers broke through every Terran ship. Crews shouted, cried, and hugged each other. For the first time in human history, Earth had stood against a galactic power and survived. But Rhea didn't celebrate. Her eyes stayed on the tactical map. Watching the few surviving alien ships regroup near the edge of the system, Diaz noticed her silence. "Commander, we did it. We won." Rhea shook her head slowly. "No, we survived. That's not the same thing." She zoomed in on the alien flagship, heavily damaged, but still moving. A single signal pulsed from it. Commander Diaz said softly, "Incoming transmission, put it through." The voice that came through was deeper than before, colder. "Human commander, your weapon burns bright, but light fades. You cannot stop what comes next." The transmission ended. Rhea stared at the dark screen for a moment, then said quietly, "They're not retreating. They're warning us." Hours later, the battle was officially declared over. Humanity had lost 12 ships, thousands of lives, but Earth was safe. For now, Admiral Hayes gave his final report to the Council. The alien fleet is retreating beyond sensor range. Commander Morgan's use of the solar spear saved the colonies. President Ross asked, and the cost. Hayes looked down. High, but freedom always is. On the Valiant, Rhea stood by the viewport, watching the glowing fragments drift through space. Each piece of wreckage told a story, a crew, a ship, a sacrifice. She whispered softly, they thought we were silent. They thought we were afraid. Diaz looked up from his console. And what do we tell them now, ma'am? Rhea turned to face him, her expression cold and steady. We tell them that humanity listens once. Then we answer with fire. Stars were quiet again, but it was not the same silence as before. It was the silence that follows thunder, the silence of a storm that will return, and somewhere in the darkness beyond Mars. The remaining alien ships vanished into deep space, carrying a message back to their empire that Earth was no longer a quiet world. It was a warning. And that warning burned across the stars. The stars were quiet again. But beneath that silence lay something heavier: fear, exhaustion, and the unspoken question. Was it truly over? The battle had ended. The solar spear's light had burned through half the alien fleet. But deep inside the shadow of Neptune, something was moving. On board the TSS Valiant, Commander Rhea Morgan stood in the darkened bridge, the lights dimmed out of respect for the dead. The crew was silent, each one lost in thought, repairing systems, replaying moments of the battle that still echoed in their minds. Any word from command? Rhea asked quietly. Lieutenant Diaz shook his head. No, ma'am. Only silence. Even the aliens stopped broadcasting. It's like they disappeared. Rhea turned toward the observation window. The stars looked cold, lifeless. They're not gone, she murmured. They're regrouping. Waiting. In the command center on Earth, Admiral Hayes stood before the Global Defense Council. The large hollow map showed the solar system. Half of it flickered with red areas damaged or out of communication. We held them off, Hayes said. But they left probes behind. They're scanning us, studying our response. President Ross crossed her arms. You mean they're preparing for another strike? Maybe, Hayes replied. Or they're deciding if we're worth destroying. He turned to the communications officer. Send a deep-range signal. Full band. Open channel. Let them hear us. The officer hesitated. What message, sir? Hayes' face hardened. Tell them Earth does not bow. Tell them if they return, the stars themselves will burn. For a while, there was nothing. Just static. Then, suddenly, a faint pulse appeared on the signal board. A repeating rhythm. A transmission, sir, the officer said. We're receiving something. It's encrypted. But it's alien. Hayes nodded. Play it. The screen flickered. Static formed into a shape, the dark silhouette of the alien commander. His face was half hidden in shadow, his eyes glowing faintly blue. Humanity, the voice began, cold and slow, you have killed thousands of our kind. You have burned ships that have traveled galaxies. Yet, you fight with the rage of a dying star. Rhea listened from the bridge of the Valiant as the message echoed across every Terran ship. We came to bring order, the alien continued. You answered with fire. Know this? Your defiance has been recorded. Your species has drawn the eye of the Dominion. He leaned closer. The next wave will not ask for surrender. It will not give warning. The transmission ended abruptly. For a moment there was complete silence. Then Rhea whispered, they're threatening extinction. Diaz looked at her nervously. What do we do, ma'am? Rhea stared at the empty stars. We make sure they understand what extinction looks like. A few hours later, the Valiant received new orders from Earth Command. Mission code, Project Echo, objective, respond to alien broadcast. Deliver final message. Rhea understood immediately this wasn't diplomacy. It was a statement. She ordered the ship to align its quantum transmitter. Patch me through to command, she said. The Admiral's tired face appeared. Commander Morgan. We're authorizing Project Echo. The message comes from all of Earth. You'll be the voice that delivers it. Rhea nodded. Understood, sir? What's the message? Hayes looked directly at her. His voice was calm but cold. Tell them we do not hide. Tell them humanity remembers every world that fell before us, and we are not them. If they want our extinction, they'll have to earn it." Rhea gave a small, grim smile. "Consider it done." The transmission array powered up. A deep hum filled the bridge. Every Terran ship turned its antennas toward the dark edges of the solar system, amplifying Rhea's signal. When she finally spoke, her words carried through the void, clear, human, and unyielding. "To the fleet that hides beyond the stars, this is Commander Rhea Morgan of Earth. You came here thinking we were silent, that we were weak. You came to rule us. You were wrong. We don't kneel. We don't surrender. We endure. You burned our skies, and we turned our sun into a weapon. You call us primitive, yet you fear what we might become. If you come again, bring everything you have. Because we will." The next line came softer, but sharper, like a blade drawn slow. "Leave this system. Leave our people. Or burn with the stars you tried to claim." Rhea ended the transmission. The message would echo for light years. Later that night, as the ship floated quietly near Mars' orbit, Diaz approached her. "Do you think they'll listen, ma'am?" Rhea looked at him, tired but calm. "They'll hear us. Whether they listen, that's their choice." She turned toward the observation window again, where the broken remains of alien ships still drifted in the dark. "I think they finally learned something about humans," she said softly. "We don't start wars." Diaz frowned. "Then what do we do?" Rhea's voice was low, steady. "We finish them." Far beyond Pluto, deep in the black void between stars, a single alien ship received the human broadcast. The alien commander listened in silence. Around him, his officers waited for orders. One of them spoke in their strange metallic language. They threatened the Dominion commander. "What are your orders?" The commander's eyes glowed faintly brighter. "None," he said. "They've given their message. We'll return home, but the High Council will decide. But mark my words." He looked toward the hologram of Earth, small, blue, fragile, yet fierce. "That world is not what it seems. Their fire will spread." On Earth, Admiral Hayes received the final signal confirmation. "The aliens have pulled back beyond Neptune," the technician said. "No further transmissions." Hayes exhaled slowly. "Then it's over for now." He turned off the hologram and looked out the window at the pale blue horizon. Humanity had faced extinction and survived, but every victory left a scar. President Ross entered the command room quietly. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked. Taz didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed on the stars. "Yes," he said finally. "And when they do, we'll be ready." On board the Valiant, the crew gathered silently, watching Earth rise in the distance. For the first time in years, they saw the planet not as a target, but as home. Rhea stood alone by the window. "The stars are watching," she whispered. Then she smiled faintly. "Let them." 6 months had passed since the Battle of Mars. The wreckage of alien ships still drifted silently through the void. Frozen reminders of the day humanity refused to kneel, Earth had rebuilt. Mars was being resettled. The colonies on Titan and Europa began to breathe again. For the first time in decades, there was peace, but deep space never stayed quiet for long. In the command center of Terran Defense Network, alarms suddenly flared to life. "Admiral, we're picking up a signal beyond Neptune, multiple sources." Admiral Hayes leaned over the console. "How many?" The officer swallowed hard. "At least 50. "Number. Wait, more are appearing. Hundreds of signatures. They're not responding to any hails." Hayes' heart sank. He had seen this pattern before. "It's them," he said quietly. "The Dominion?" He turned to his aide. "Get Commander Rhea Morgan on secure line. Now." On board the TSS Valiant, Rhea was training new recruits when the call came through. She froze the simulation and walked toward the com station. Hayes' tired face appeared on the screen. "Commander," he said, "it's starting again." Rhea felt her stomach tighten. "How many?" "Too many to count. They're not heading directly for Earth yet. But they're scanning the outer colonies. Testing our defenses, Rhea exhaled slowly. So they're watching again. Exactly, Hayes replied. They're measuring us, seeing what we learned from last time. There was a short silence. Then Rhea said, then we show them we learned everything.
Wow.
That night, Earth's night sky was brighter than ever. Hundreds of Terran ships prepared for deployment, sleek, fast, built with technology reverse-engineered from captured Dominion wrecks. The people called them Phoenix-class vessels, because they were born from fire, from the moon's surface. Civilians watched the fleet rise into orbit like a river of light. For the first time in human history, the stars didn't look distant anymore. They looked reachable. Rhea walked down the hangar bay, inspecting her ship. The Valiant had been upgraded, stronger armor, new plasma cannons, faster warp drives. Lieutenant Diaz joined her. It feels different this time, ma'am, he said quietly. Last time we were fighting for survival, now. It feels like we're fighting for something bigger, Rhea nodded. Last time, we defended Earth. This time, we defend everything human.
Oh.
Diaz smiled faintly. And what if they come stronger? Rhea looked out the viewport, where 1,000 ships waited for her command. Then we burned brighter. 2 days later, the Dominion fleet entered the Kuiper Belt. They didn't send messages or threats this time. They simply advanced, slow, steady, unstoppable. The first Terran recon fleet engaged them near Pluto's orbit. Within minutes, all communication was lost. Reports came in flashes of light. Broken signals, static screams. Rhea clenched her fists as the feed went dark. They're testing us, she said. Seeing how far we'll go before we break. Ha's voice came through the cum line. Commander, the Council wants to open negotiations. Rhea froze. Negotiations? After what they did? They think it might buy us time, Hayes said tiredly. Rhea's voice hardened. The Dominion doesn't negotiate. They count the weak. Back on Earth, the Council gathered in the underground command hall. President Ross addressed the assembly. We've received a single signal from the Dominion flagship, she said. Translated message reads, Prepare your world for judgment. The room fell silent. Hayes whispered, So, this is it, Ross nodded. I want every civilian evacuation protocol active. Every ship, every shuttle. If they breach our line, they won't, Hayes interrupted. Commander Morgan won't let them. Hours later, near Neptune's orbit, the Terran fleet assembled to 1,200 ships strong, a wall of light, steel, and determination. The Dominion fleet approached slowly, their vessels vast and alien, glowing with strange blue energy. Rhea stood on the bridge of the Valiant, staring at the radar. There they are, she said softly. Diaz swallowed hard. They're massive. Their flagship is the size of a moon. Rhea didn't flinch. Size doesn't matter when you're aiming for the heart. She opened the fleet channel. This is Commander Morgan to all Terran ships. You know why you're here? You know what's at stake? They think we're fragile. They think we'll fall like every other world they've conquered. Her voice grew sharper, louder. They're wrong. Because we're human, and when we fall, we rise again. The channel exploded with cheers and replies. The battle began. The first wave of alien drones surged forward, fast, silent, mechanical. Terran guns opened fire, lighting up the void in brilliant white and orange. Dozens of alien ships burned instantly, but for every one destroyed. 2 more appeared. The Valiant shook violently as plasma beams hit its shields. Shields at 60%. Diaz shouted. Redirect auxiliary power, Rhea ordered. Keep firing. The ship trembled, metal groaning under the pressure. Explosions bloomed outside like miniature suns. Then suddenly all alien ships stopped. Everything went still. Rhea frowned. Why did they stop? Diaz checked the scanners. I don't know, ma'am. It's like they're waiting. Before she could reply, the main screen lit up with a massive energy signature from the Dominion flagship. A voice, deep, calm, mechanical, filled every frequency. You were warned. The alien ship's front opened, revealing a glowing orb pulsing like a small star. Rhea's eyes widened. They're charging something. All ships, evasive maneuvers. But it was too late. A beam of pure blue light shot across the battlefield, cutting through the Terran front line like paper. 5 ships vanished instantly, then 10 more. Massive casualties, Diaz cried. They're wiping out entire squadrons. Rhea's jaw tightened. Target that weapon. All ships full assault. The Terran fleet roared back to life, firing everything they had. Missiles streaked across space, railguns cracked, plasma bursts collided with the alien barrier. The Dominion shields shimmered and held. Not enough power, Diaz said, voice trembling. Rhea's eyes burned with determination. Then we find a way. At that moment, a message came through from Earth Command, a direct link from Admiral Hayes. Rhea, listen carefully, Hayes said. We've been developing something the Solar Spear too, stronger, faster, built for one purpose, ending this war. Rhea's heart raced. But it's not ready. It doesn't have to be, Hayes replied. Just has to fire once. You need to buy us 7 minutes. Rhea looked at the tactical map, at the hundreds of Dominion ships closing in. 7 minutes felt like eternity, but she smiled anyway. Copy that, Admiral. We'll give you 10, as the Dominion fleet. Prepared to fire again, the Valiant charged straight at the enemy lines, leading every Terran ship forward. Diaz shouted, "We won't survive this, ma'am." Rhea's voice was calm. Then make it count. The Valiant surged into the storm of blue fire, weaving between blasts, its weapons blazing. Human ships followed, hundreds of them, fearless, furious. From Earth, Hayes watched as the human fleet vanished into the light, a wall of courage against a godlike enemy. He whispered softly, "Hold the line, Rhea. Just a little longer." The stars were burning again. Blue fire from the Dominions. Superweapon tore through the void, erasing entire human squadrons in a single flash. The Terran fleet held the line, battered, bleeding, but unbroken, and at the center of it all, the TSS Valiant burned brighter than the rest. Report. Commander Rhea Morgan shouted as alarms screamed around her. Lieutenant Diaz wiped blood from his forehead. Rear defense line is gone. We've lost the Hammerfall in EOS. Shields down to 20%. Rhea gritted her teeth. The deck shook under another blast. Keep formation. Don't let them push through. Every breath she took tasted of smoke and iron. Every second, more Terran ships vanished from the radar, bright lights gone dark forever. But she didn't look away. She couldn't. Because behind her, beyond the burning stars, was Earth. On the homeworld. In the deep command bunker, Admiral Hayes stood before the solar spear to control chamber. The weapon was massive, its golden panels spread like wings across the sun's orbit, absorbing stellar energy faster than ever before. Technicians called out readings. Power levels at 94%. Attainment stable. Hayes slammed his fist on the console. I need 100%. Commander Morgan's out there buying us time with her life. One of the engineers shouted, "Sir, the weapon's reaching overload." I said 100%. Hayes barked. If we fire early, it won't be enough to pierce their shield. The room fell silent. Outside, the sun flared like it knew what was coming. Back on the Valiant, Rhea stood amid chaos. Her ship's hull was glowing red from heat. Diaz turned to her, voice shaking. "Ma'am, if we stay here, we die." Rhea looked at the battle. Raging before her, thousands of alien ships, unending waves of blue light. She smiled faintly. "Then we die making it count." She opened the fleet channel, her voice steady and clear despite the thunder around her. "To all Terran ships, you've fought bravely. You've bled, you've burned, but you've stood. You know what's behind us? You know what we protect? We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're defending the idea that no power in the stars can ever break us." The channel filled with quiet, determined voices. "With you, Commander. For Earth. For humanity." The Dominion fleet began charging their weapon again, blue light gathering like a small sun at their core. Rhea saw it forming. "Diaz," she said softly, "bring us closer." His eyes widened. "Closer." "Ma'am, that's suicide." "I know," she said. "Do it anyway." The Valiant's engines flared as it turned toward the alien flagship. Through the smoke and fire, flew straight into the storm on Earth. Hayes watched the readings. "Commander Morgan's ship is moving into the Dominion's central line," an officer said. "She's taking direct fire." Hayes closed his eyes. "Oh, she knows what she's doing." "Power at 99%, another voice shouted. Hayes took a deep breath. Almost there. In space, the Valiant shook violently. Systems were failing one by one. Diaz gripped the console. "We've lost half the reactors." Rhea stood tall, her voice calm. "Then use what's left. Target their weapon core. Fire everything. Everything. Everything." The ship's cannons blazed. So's roared. Railguns thundered. The entire Terran line followed, every ship firing at once. The stars themselves seemed to explode in light, but the Dominion's shields still held. And then, their weapon fired. A wave of blue energy engulfed the Valiant. The bridge shattered. Walls tore apart. The lights went white. Rhea was thrown to the floor. She felt the world slow down, sound fading, vision dimming. Through the broken viewport, she saw the Dominion flagship, a glowing monster of steel and energy. And in that final second, she whispered, "Hayes, now." The signal reached Earth. Hayes' hand slammed down on the control panel. Fire the solar spear. From the orbit of the sun, the weapon awakened. A blinding beam of golden plasma erupted, brighter than any light ever seen by human eyes. It tore through the void, crossing millions of kilometers in seconds. The Dominion's massive weapon turned its sensors toward the new energy reading. But it was too late. The solar spear struck. The beam pierced through the alien flagship like a knife through glass. The explosion that followed was beyond measure. Light swallowing light, fire devouring fire. The Dominion fleet fractured. One by one, their ships detonated, systems collapsing under the solar spear's storm. From Earth, the night sky turned to gold. When the light finally faded, there was silence. Only drifting debris remained where the Dominion fleet once was. In the command bunker, screens flickered. No more red dots. No more enemy signals. "Is it over?" a technician whispered. Hayes exhaled. His voice cracked when he spoke. "It's over." But then softly he added, "At a cost." Hours later, the surviving Terran ships began recovery operations. Rescue beacons flickered weakly in the dark. They found what was left of the Valiant near Neptune's orbit, torn apart, half its hull missing. Rhea's chair was empty. Only her insignia badge remained. It was melted but intact, floating among the wreckage. Diaz survived barely. He clutched the badge to his chest and whispered through tears, "You did it, Commander. You saved us." Weeks later, Earth held a memorial. Across every colony and station, people stood in silence. Admiral Hayes spoke to the galaxy from the Terran Assembly. "She was our voice in the dark, and because of her, the stars are ours again." The crowd was silent. Then slowly, one by one, people raised their hands to the sky. The gesture spread across Earth. Mars, Titan, Europa. Millions of hands reaching toward the heavens. Humanity had won, but victory did not feel like triumph. It felt like promise. Months later, deep in the void where the Dominion once ruled, a single alien probe drifted aimlessly through the wreckage. Its damaged recorder played a final, human transmission. Rhea Morgan's voice. "We don't kneel, we don't surrender, we endure." The probe continued onward into the black, carrying her voice across the galaxy a message. Warning, a legend, and far away beyond known space, another civilization intercepted the signal. They listened to the human voice, calm, defiant, alive. One of them turned to their leader and said, "Should we approach this species?" The leader shook his head slowly. "Not yet. They have fire in their blood. Let them burn brighter first." Back on Earth, under the clear blue sky, Admiral Hayes stood alone, looking up. The stars seemed peaceful again, but he knew better. He whispered softly, "The stars remember the light that never fades." And somewhere out there beyond the edge of the known, the memory of humanity's defiance still burned.